Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fight words? In this video, I want to talk about Adrien the Problem Broner. And it seems like he is definitely living up to his name because there seems to be some problems. Him and BLK Prime have decided to part ways. They are no longer in business together. They are no longer the promotion company for Adrien Broner, and he is no longer a fighter for BLK Prime. Period. They have parted ways. You know, it's funny because when he got with him, I guess they promised this man the moon. I remember him saying, hey, the money's real over here and yada, yada, yada. They're going to give me the fights that I want. And nothing's come out of it. He's had 3 opponents now, and all 3, nothing has come out of it. In which case, I understand why he's decided to part ways. Listen, he's getting older, and he's been gone for some time. You can't afford to sit around and just linger and be like, well, all right, you guys, let's try it one more time. You gotta move, you know? And that's basically what happened. I feel sorry for him. You know, I was looking forward to seeing him. I always believed that, you know, AB had a lot of skill, and I still think there's something in him. And I guess, you know, his little return bout was going to be the age-old question of, will he actually throw punches, and will he throw more than 8 punches around? So I guess we still don't know. I guess we're still in limbo with that thought, while he's still in limbo with a potential opponent. In which case, you know, he posted a video just saying, listen, I'm a free agent, so get at me, pretty much, get at me. Now, I do remember that Eddie Hearn in the past reached out to Adrien Broner, in which case he said, you know, it's not enough money, but at this case in point, listen, a check is a check. And I think he has more than enough star power, you know, or draw power, shall I say, to where he can build his way up, you know, with somebody like an Eddie Hearn. One thing, I personally like Eddie Hearn. I've always admired Eddie Hearn, and I do. And I'll tell you why. Because people say whatever they like, but if you're with Eddie Hearn, he'll fight tooth and nail for you. He'll do it behind the scenes, but he'll also do it in front of the cameras. Like, if he's with you, he's with you. Every time AJ lost, he didn't back away. He didn't shy away. He didn't do a Don King and go put his arm around the shoulders of the victor. No, he stuck with his guy. And you have to respect that about him. And I've always admired that about him. So I think a guy like Eddie Hearn, who's very vocal and seen and upfront, I think a guy like that would be really good for somebody like an Adrien Broner, because I think he would call for, I'm not saying it's going to be the biggest fights, but I think he could call for very entertaining fights. Especially, I don't feel like the UK has seen Adrien Broner. I don't know if he's fought over there or not, but I think he can make a big splash over there. I think that's a market that isn't quite, or maybe hasn't quite seen somebody like an Adrien Broner up close and personal. I think at some point in time, he possessed skill. Like I said, it remains to be seen what he can actually do at this stage in his career. But I think the personality, I think his personality brings all the attraction of a Jake Paul. But I think the skill and the potential to take guys out. Well, the UK is a real fighting community. You know, the UK loves boxing, and the UK will support anybody who goes in there and puts their all on the line. That's why I love the UK so much, and I like UK fighters because they support their own, and I really respect that. I've always respected that about the UK. You know, like they're not. Oh, I'm with you today, and then well, you got beat, so you're yesterday's news. UK is not like that. And that's why, like, I really do like that. I truly believe a guy like Adrien Broner could really make his bones over there in the UK. He could really, really, really make his bones. And there's a lot of guys over there. You know, there's the Josh Taylors. There's a lot of guys over there. There's a whole lot of guys over. I mean, the Regis Prograis fight, it's still a possibility because, you know, I just feel like it's still a possibility. Just simply because Adrien Broner was saying I'm a free agent. So I don't necessarily have to be signed to you, but I can fight any of your fighters, you know. So, and listen, worst case scenario, he can go back to to Granddaddy Al Heyman and say, hey, Grandpapa, I messed up. Can I come back home? And I'm pretty sure Al Heyman would say, yeah, you can come back home, grandson. You didn't know what you were saying. You didn't know what you meant when you ventured out there. You got lost in the wilderness, and now you got to hang your head low and come on back home. But come on in. Come on in out the cold. He can always do that as well. You know, I imagine, listen, Oscar De La Hoya would love to have somebody like an Adrien Broner. Okay? As a matter of fact, I believe they actually started off together. He would love to have Adrien Broner back. Oscar De La Hoya, as vocal as Oscar De La Hoya is, and Oscar De La Hoya's ability, well, not necessarily his ability, but I would say his tenaciousness and seeking out the biggest fights possible. Oscar De La Hoya has been on that lately, and you got to give him his props and his credit as well. He's been on that as of lately. And I feel like he could also give Adrien Broner the fights that would be very exciting. Let's just say, for example, you know, I know Ryan Garcia and Tank have already made. All right, I know that. But Ryan Garcia did step up and move up to 140 pounds. I'm just saying, Adrien Broner and Ryan Garcia. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there at 140 pounds. I think that could be two back-to-back star-studded big events for Golden Boy. Back-to-back with their main attraction, which is Ryan Garcia. Imagine if Ryan Garcia fought Tank and then win, lose, or draw, he went back up to 140. Because let's just say if he loses to Tank at 136, listen, we all know that he's going to be like, I was depleted, I was weak, I had already moved up to 140. So, you know, like, that wasn't me at my best. Cool. We bring Adrien Broner, 140. Him and Ryan Garcia fight at 140 pounds. They get it on. And now you can still push the fight as if the Tank fight didn't happen, because you're like, well, you're right. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't 100% because he had to make that 136. And you know, yeah, it's 4 pounds, but that 4 pounds means something, you know, so you can make that argument. Absolutely. And then when you're talking about somebody like an Adrien Broner who's going to sell the fight on his own, somebody who's just as marketable and has as much draw. Tank has a lot of draw, but Tank doesn't say, like, he's kind of like, he's a Twitter warrior, but he's not the guy who's going to be slick with his mouth. And, you know, he's really, you know, he's not that, not on the mic. You get somebody like an Adrien Broner with somebody like a Ryan Garcia, you might be able to pull off a press tour if you wanted to, because Adrien Broner by himself is going to sell that thing. But when you're talking about the popularity of Ryan Garcia and all that who follow him, that could be a very, very big thing. You get boxing is all about getting the right opponent. Yeah, it's about, you know, racking up wins and knockouts and all that stuff. But it's also about the right dance partner. Okay, like Hagler Hearns wouldn't have been what it turned out to be if those two didn't have such disdain for each other. And they weren't so obvious about it. Like, they did not like each other. Duran and Leonard wouldn't have been what it was if those two weren't so far apart from personality. You know, you have the flashy Leonard, you know, the razzle dazzle over here, and then you have Roberto Duran, who just wants to take your freaking head off, and he's mean and nasty, and he's not quote unquote the most likable guy in the room. Okay, you put those two together, you got something special. And it's the same thing. If you put a Ryan Garcia, who seems, you know, he's like a little darling in boxing, and then you put him with like somebody like Adrien Broner, who's been to prison or jail multiple times, and you know, he's rough around the edges. He'll say whatever at any given time. You know, that is fireworks, and that is pretty fan-pleasing, to be honest with you. So I can definitely see it. I mean, hey, we've seen crazier things, right? I mean, now we're living in an age where, you know, you can fight MMA guys and be considered a boxer. So we've seen crazier things, but why not? I don't think that's the most absurd thing in the world, because we can definitely argue, hey, he was depleted. But again, you have the Josh Taylors. Again, there's a slew of UK fighters coming out right now at 140 pounds. So, I mean, you can literally pick and choose. And you could just have Adrien Broner go on a tear, you know, with these young guys. and get a few knockouts under his belt. And he could be a main attraction with like Matchroom or DAZN or one of these companies. So I definitely think if I'm a promoter, I'm jumping on this like ASAP. Because, okay, Adrien Broner's not what he used to be physically, but he doesn't have to be. As long as he's AB and as long as the AB show is still on, we can work with this. Because we can match him up properly. We're not saying he's going to be a unified champ. We're not saying that. You know, he might be delusional in thinking he's going to be a unified champ again, but we're not delusional in thinking he will be a unified champ again. We just want to put on awesome fights. And I think in every way, shape, and form, they need to jump on this. Every promotion. Even, you know, like, I don't necessarily know about Al Heyman. Maybe he's like, you know what? Do what you please. He's all yours. You guys want him. You don't know what you're asking for, but if you want him, you go ahead and take him. You know, but I think somebody like Oscar De La Hoya, he could probably go back home to him. Or, my personal opinion, go with Eddie Hearn. Go with DAZN, go with Matchroom, go overseas and fight all these young UK fighters, you know, and remake a name for yourself, because it would kind of be like starting over again. You know, yeah, we know you over here and we've seen you over here. We've seen your ups and we've seen your downs. And obviously it's an information age, so they've seen his ups and downs as well. But they don't know him like we know him. They haven't seen him like we've seen him. You know, and I feel like he can make a fresh start. And he would want to make a great impression for a new audience, for a new scene, for a new landmass, for that matter. So I think sky's the limit for Adrien Broner. And if I'm any promotion, I'm jumping on that. He said he's a free agent. Check, please. I'm jumping on that. Those are my thoughts. What do you think about Adrien Broner being a free agent? What do you think about me saying, you know, whether it be Matchroom, whether it be DAZN, whether it be Golden Boy, somebody needs to jump on this right now. That is a golden ticket. Drop your thoughts down below. As always, I would love to hear what you have to say. Please like, please share, please subscribe to this channel.